Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. This is our evening briefing, the 5 p.m. briefing for the train derailment incident in Washington City. And my name is Alex Boyd, I'm Fire Chief, and I'll be providing your briefing today. Thank you for all the members of the press that are here today to ask questions and run through. For those of you, when we get to the question period that have questions, feel free to ask them. I'll repeat your question and answer it for the one microphone here at the podium. I appreciate that. And if you would please, when you have questions, please raise your hand. We'll get to you and acknowledge you as we go through. Again, my name is Alex Boyd. I'm the fire chief here in Washington City. That is ALEXBOYD. And again, the fire chief. Okay. Well, to get started, yesterday afternoon at approximately 3 o'clock, we had a train derailment in Washington City near the Washington River between the Nursing Home Road and Washington River, where the train line runs through that main area. Train derailment included several rail cars containing caustic soda, which is also known as lye or sodium hydroxide. Several of those cars released that into the area, and in the process, that material mixed with local waters and started to move towards the local nursing home. As part of our incident action plan, members of the Washington Fire Department engaged with the incident, engaged with the hazardous materials incident, and began to take efforts to evacuate the majority of the residents in the area and who may be affected by the derailment. And the majority of the residents in the area who could evacuate were. Many of us are very familiar, the Washington Nursing Home has about 120 residents in it. And of those residents, the majority are confined to their beds or have significant movement issues and mobility problems. And so evacuation of those folks was not a possibility for us at the time that the incident occurred. Some of the mitigation efforts that were taken immediately, obviously, were to protect life and placed a very high level of concern with the nursing home experiencing several flash flood experiences, as well as other things in the area where water in the area rapidly inundated the nursing home. The decision made by the incident commander to divert the hazardous chemicals away from the nursing home. And as a result of that, a large portion of the chemical release was diverted into the Washington River. As part of that process, there was a fish kill-off in the area, as well as some impacts on the local wildlife and some of the vegetation in the river. In time, as this is going through, containment of this is continuing, and we're working with the railroad and their specialists and hazardous materials technicians to manage this incident further and prevent further damage to our environment. It's important that I reiterate that initial information that we had on the incident was that this was potentially threatening the nursing home, and our firefighters, the Washington City Fire Department members, engaged in a diking and diverting effort in an effort to protect the lives of those folks that were in the nursing home and move forward. It is unfortunate, and we acknowledge that the environmental disaster that was secondary to that action is something that is unfortunate and is something that we will be working with the railroad and other folks associated with this process to ensure is mitigated appropriately. At this time, we're not aware of any other incidents secondary to this. As the water continues to flow, we have notified folks downstream, and we're working with appropriate agencies to help monitor the situation moving forward. We're also unaware of any injuries to residents in the area that resulted from this incident, and for that we're very grateful. At this time, with no other information to offer regarding the incident, what I'd like to do is open this up to questions. I understand there have been some concerns that have expressed through the community, and at this time I'd like to take the opportunity to address some of those. Yes, thank you. Go ahead with your question. Okay. I understand you're asking about our compliance with the NFPA 1710. And in that, your question being, are we currently meeting NFPA 1710 and staffing the fourth people on our first two companies that are available for response? Well, unfortunately, I can confirm we do not currently meet the NFPA 1710 standard for four-person staffing on first arriving fire companies. This has been a priority of the Washington Fire Department and our members to reach 1710 staffing, which is a national fire protection standard outlining the staffing and deployment for professional fire departments. This also discusses response times and other resourcing that goes along with fire departments. This has been a focus of ours to work towards a solution, and there are challenges with meeting that standard, and that one of the greatest challenges that we've been facing is finding qualified applicants at a great enough number to bring all of our staffing numbers up to four-person, as well as the funding associated with hiring those folks. To be pointed in the answer, no, we do not meet NFPA 1710, which is a national recommended staffing standard. It is important to point out that the National Fire Protection Agency, or I'm sorry, Association, does produce industry best practice standards and standards for performance that have been accepted by committee. Those standards all include a section that state that the authority having jurisdiction, which is the Washington City Fire Department, has the authority to implement all or in part those standards. It is our effort to implement as many of the NFPA standards as we're capable of, and we should also note that we recognize it will take time to meet these industry best practice standards. We do focus on supporting an effective firefighting force, which is known as an EFF, has been well established within past sections of the NFPA 1710 standard, and reaching an NFPA standard allows us to work with the folks on the apparatus to meet the expectations of performance for the critical fireground tasks as established within the 1998 staffing study that led a lot of the information and supported a lot of what NFPA 1710 is now asking for. We utilize adjacent agencies, mutual aid partners, automatic aid from other fire departments to ensure that we're getting enough firefighters from not only Washington City but surrounding areas when a large incident such as a structure fire does occur. We do request those resources and move forward and ensure that our citizens are protected to the best of the ability, as well as providing for the safety of our firefighters. Okay, thank you for that question. Any other additional questions? Yes, I'd like to acknowledge post. Thank you very much. I understand your question is about our training levels with hazardous materials operations and HAZWOPER training for the state. And in this incident, that some of our members may not have been fully trained and prepared for this incident. Again, I will acknowledge that these are challenges that we're facing as an organization, and we are aware of our undertraining in this area of specialty, which is hazardous materials response. All of our members are certified as state and nationally certified as IFSAC, which is the International Fire Accreditations Council, which is a nationally accrediting body, and all of our firefighters do meet the minimum standard of Firefighter 1, which includes a hazardous materials response and awareness level of training as required as part of that Firefighter 1 training. So all of our members do have hazardous materials awareness. With that said, we recognize that the HAZWOPER training is something that is required for responders who will be mitigating and managing hazardous materials incidents. This is an expanding field for us within the Washington City Fire Department, and part of what we're working on in this process is meeting all of those OSHA and state standards for minimum training in hazardous materials. We've established a 1-year training program for the fire department and are working with our training division and support services from the state and other agencies to help us attain that minimum training and hopefully advance to a dedicated team of hazardous materials responders with a high level of training. Until we can complete that training, currently we are operating with the best that we have working forward. And in this case, the folks who responded to our hazardous materials awareness trained, and we're engaging in life-saving efforts as is trained to their level. Any other questions? Yes, I understand that you have concerns that they were wearing inappropriate personal protective equipment for the incident that they were engaged in. That is, again, another challenge for us in this situation because hazardous materials operations and engagement is a specialty field with recommendations for a lot of different specialty equipment. It is true that in this case, our members responded in what is known as Level D hazardous materials protection, which is splash protection to prevent chemicals and items from splashing against them. That level D is actually known as just our regular firefighting equipment and turnouts. Initially, for the response, it was identified that this was an adequate level of protection for this, and we have since learned that additional respiratory protection and protection to a level C and as high as potentially a level B, which is moving up higher in different levels of protection, will be required of the folks who are coming in to actually conduct the full cleanup of the chemical spill and to remove the product from the train cars. So yeah, we unfortunately we acknowledge that in our best efforts to affect those life-saving efforts that occurred on the grounds the evening that this event occurred, we acknowledge that we were not in the appropriate level of care. However, I will note that within those standards, both the NFPA and within state and OSHA standards, it does allow for efforts within the life-saving efforts to be taken on in the best of our abilities, and not making excuses for where we're at in our preparation, but unfortunately in our plans to obtain the appropriate equipment, protection, and training, this train derailment did not wait for us to complete our training processes and move forward. To be frank, we're doing the best we can with what we've got in front of us, and we appreciate the support we've been getting from our community. Okay, any other questions? All right. Understood. Understand that your question is related to elected officials and the public not receiving information about this incident and other incidents as we move forward and not being aware of things that are happening. Thank you for the question, and thank you for the opportunity to address that. It is true that I have heard as the fire chief and as other members of our community have expressed that they are not well informed of the things happening in incidents such as the one that we experienced with the train derailment and other incidents that have occurred within the community. And for that, as your fire chief, I want to apologize. This is something we are working to address. We do have a communications plan in draft form as we move forward and attempt to address these items that are before us. That communication plan includes outreach opportunities, as we have done in this incident, with regular public briefings. We've also stood up for the incident. This is, if you will search your social media feeds, we have a hashtag for this incident, which is hashtag Washington City Train Derailment, and that hashtag can be used to search for notifications and publications, any note that we put in on any of the popular social media accounts. We are using X, which is formerly known as Twitter. We're also using Facebook, Instagram, as well as the notification from our emergency operations department to ensure that our community is well informed of what's happening. And I understand that is difficult, that this is likely the first time we're hearing a lot of this information, which is again why we want to hold more press conferences like this during major incidents and outreach. As for the elected officials and briefing points, that is an intentional process that we are going through in any incident. I myself have regular meetings with the mayor and members of city council to discuss what's happening within the fire department and some of these issues. And they have been extremely supportive in moving forward with some of these challenges that we're facing, such as the HAZWOPER, some of our staffing challenges, and ways that we can work with city administration and our community to meet the needs of the community. These are all things that we meet with regularly and discuss. Please understand, I am not making any excuses for what we're hearing from the public, and we acknowledge that those are real and valid concerns from our public, and any way that we can improve that, we are working to do so. Um, any further questions on how we are handling this incident or related to the fire department? Okay. Well, thank you all very much for being here this evening. Again, this is our last briefing for today. We will have another briefing as things develop through the evening. That is planned for 0900 or 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Again, back here at the Emergency Operations Center to do a briefing. Thank you very much. Please feel free to reach out to the Public Information Officer's line. It has a recording with multiple hashtags on there as well as an updated message. If you leave a message or send the email to the PIO email box, our public information officers and incident management team are working to ensure that those questions are answered as they come in, and they're working to put out regular notices. Please log into the fire department's website and go to current incidents page, which is in the upper right corner of the website, to click on that, and that will take you to any of the current incidents, and you can click on those to determine if there are messages coming out from public information officers or from the incident commanders about what's happening in the area. The train derailment incident will be live as long as we have a team assigned to it, and we'll be providing updates on a regular basis. Again, thank you very much for being here this evening, and we'll see you in the morning at 9 a.m. Thank you.